Speaking of things which potentially could offend people, and this is a massive segue, but does bring us back to the Patreon.
Okay. Yes.
Is
yes.
So
I know what you're going to talk about. I believe I know what you're going to talk about. I've been observing this from a distance, but
Yes.
I believe I know what you're going to talk about.
A good reason to sign up for our Patreon, Will, is to get exclusive access to the art of James Fosdyke. And
also, by the way, just before we get into this, you could also get the video of this very podcast that you're listening to, which is on the Patreon. And during Charlie's last story, you would have got to see me get up and bash my chair back together because it was breaking. So it's good quality stuff.
It's really on the edge of your seat television, watching Will just slowly stand up, adjust his chair, almost knock over his microphone, and very slowly sit back down again.
Exclusive to Patreon.
You know
Sign
what?
up
We
for
should
as little as
release that.
$1 a month.
The highlight we should release this week is just that sequence of you, just the locked off camera of you getting up your chair, but with action music, like Michael Bay bombastic action music behind it. Let's make that happen. That's
Get the score from Oppenheimer.
So Patreon is where we house all James Fosdyke's art, and James is an essential, integral part of TOEFOP.
It's true.
And we give him complete creative freedom. We say, here's the episode, you name it, you create the artwork for it. We love everything you make.
Yes.
But in the context of what we've been talking about in terms of, we're now with a major sponsor, we're now with a major corporation, we're looking for sponsorship and stuff. Piece of artwork came across last week for last week's episode, Death on a Dick, which was an amazing masterpiece. One of James' greatest bits of artwork of death, riding an enormous cock.
Oh, man.
Now, as a piece of art, it was amazing. But in the initial draft...
And as an offer, Death on a Dick. I mean, it's hard to go past in an episode. It's Death on a Dick out there. As an offer to James Fosdyke, who likes to put a dick or balls into pretty innocent and regular offers. I mean, that dick
the
is
man
dangling.
Can find a dick in the most innocent of situations.
This is a guy who can find a dick in a haystack. That's what they've always said about Foz. And we dangled the dick in front of his face. In a way, it is our fault.
100%.
Yeah.
So I saw the artwork, was immediately impressed by the skill and the artistry behind it.
Of course.
But then my immediate thought was that is the most graphic penis that James has ever drawn. And we've seen lots.
Dick. It was heaps. And honestly,
and so much love and detail had gone into it, like the folds of the foreskin, the honestly purple hue of the helmet.
Not since the work of Larry Pickering. Have I seen such time and dedication to a big throbbing dick?
So I had a moment of look, I look, as part of me is still that young, reckless, it's party times at TOEFOP HQ, fuck the system, let's do it. Yeah. And then the other part of me is like, we need to start making some money. A lot of people are working on this show now and we've been doing a lot.
Including James, to be fair.
Including James, yeah. And so I had to make the executive decision of saying, James, I love this, but I don't think we can use it. There's only been one other time, I believe, in TOEFOP history, which was, again, our fault, where we talked about the classic offensive T-shirt, The Happy Fisherman, in which you see a cartoon of a fisherman getting his dick sucked by a fish. And of course,
again,
the artwork. And I said, James, I love it, but there is a fish filleting a man. And this is even before we had a major multinational media corporation.
Of course, McDonald's least popular burger, the filet-o fish.
Actually, that sounds delicious. I want to know what the secret sauce is before I eat it.
Could I have a filet-o fish? Wink.
I mean, if you're willing to eat caviar, can you not eat whale sperm if it's on your filet-o fish?
People would eat. Again, we're just offering James so many options if we start riffing on whale sperm.
We haven't heard from him in days, and we go in and he's just had conniptions because just so many ideas, so many dicks, and cum-soaked burgers.
And what is this foam on the side? Well, sir, you might be able to taste the ocean.
Yes. So James Foz. So yes. I put the request in, and I said, look, we're just going to just have to find a way to make the dick less prominent. I wasn't saying get rid of the dick. I thought he could either, last time he carried.
Now, by the way, I thought this was interesting because, again, I was like a coward watching this from the sidelines. I was like, you know what?
Yeah. I mean, that's all right. I'll play bad cop. I mean, you could really fuck me over if you wanted to swoop in and be like, you know what, I like it. I think we should stand by it.
Yeah, and I think that my silence was me standing by you, but just still trying to seem cool. I'll be like, I don't know, mum's got something. Mum needs to have a conversation with you, and then I'm dad, and I just go out to the garage and like
nodding.
I just want to,
standing behind nodding.
I know.
I feel like you have more kind of street cred. Like you've got more of that kind of anarchic sort of history and stuff.
That's right.
It's more damaging to your brand for you to be like, hey man, like censor this, rather than me, who's always been seen as a bit more mainstream and
that's right, man.
Toast.
Exactly right. You played a cop, man. Like it rubbed off a little.
I did feel like such a fucking like wowzer, but it was just like it. I mean, I there's very few of James' artworks that I'm like, oh, that's too much. But that one, like, it's got to be bad.
It was too much. He must have known. He must have known.
Well, no one chimed in. Like, I didn't see like those. Like, we've got three producers in on that chat.
I want James to still think I'm cool, man. But
well, he did until now.
So
this is all a long-winded way.
It was like a massive, like it was just so. Like if like Cock needed a promo photo for a tour that Cock was doing, you'd be like, posters done.
Yeah. I mean, I could just sort of see like Telstra or Nike or someone ready to sign on the dotted line. They're like, let's just check out what's this Tovob's all about. And then just seeing the giant cock and being like,
maybe we are leaning the wrong way. Like we've always shied away from, this being a podcast that was supported by like sex aids or erection dysfunction pills or whatever, it is. But maybe we're wrong. Maybe we're denying our true self. Like, I mean, we have, the modern day Larry Pickering, like working almost exclusively for us. Like he loves drawing dicks. Maybe.
Oh my God. Should we do a calendar? A Larry Pickering style calendar, but not with celebs, because that feels a bit invasive. But is there something that we can do where James gets to add dicks to something popular in popular culture? What would it be? What would it be? Adding cocks to something.
I'm glad that this has gone from a conversation about censoring penises to now being like, maybe we can put out a calendar.
Well, I think that's separate. That could be, you're right. Unless, could we do it? Is there a way we can do it? So Gillian Anderson on her Instagram, she has this, like, it's not like a segment, but it's like a regular occurring gag where she just photographs things that look like dicks. So she'll see a cactus and she'll take a photo. No comment or anything. She'll just photo. So it's feels like every 10 pages or so on Gillian Anderson, there's just a dick. And so I'm like, what if James drew things that aren't dicks that look like dicks in his photorealistic style? Does that get us away with it? And we, without comment, we don't go Larry Pickering, like, lowest common denominator. It's just a calendar of artfully drawn phallic images. So like the first one is, I don't know, like one of those back massages that has the two balls on it and the wooden handle. You know the one? That's the first one. But really beautifully drawn, in James's kind of like most arty style. And then the next one could be like, what else? Like the top of an old mailbox, the ones that had the sort of more rounded heads.
Sure.
Just really bulging and red. Like one of those.
Yeah.
Your microphone. No, I'm just doing Steve Carell and Anchorman. Looking around the room, what can I see that's phallic? I just think that's a good workaround. James gets to indulge in his major passion. We get an extra bit of merch, but we don't scare away, a major sponsor.
I mean, look, Anyway,
calendar
the whole
things that
point
look
of this
like dicks
is
but aren't dicks.
the whole point of this is
Hand-drawn.
if you go to Patreon, you can see the dick. If you
can
would
see
like
the
to see the dick, it is behind the paywall. The original unedited dick logo in its full dick glory is available.
Full
And
pink and purple glory.
what I will say is I did like the decision that you as a narc made that to not completely censor James and his artistic vision. You were just like, hey man, I want you to like, I'm not saying you can't draw dicks. It's natural, Matt. If you want to draw dicks, I'm not here to kink shame you or art shame you or work shame you or whatever the relationship is that we have. But could you just tone the dick down a little? Could you fade the dick into the background a little? And then there was a discussion for the people at home. It didn't immediately go to what the end result is.
All right. Look, I'm going to read the chat just because I think this will clear up a lot of stuff.
Yes.
So look, there's the other two people, Foz and Mike, who also appear in this. If you don't want your contribution, we can bleep it out. But this is how it goes. So James sends through the artwork, which is Death riding a big purple penis. Here you go, guys. Mike the Third is the first to respond. He says, when it was mentioned in the app, I thought, geez, I hope he doesn't draw that. Foz responds, it was meat thrown to a hungry lion. Okay, so that was around about quarter to 6. 15 minutes later, I jump in. And the first thing I say is, oh, man, come on, Foz, we can't release that.
Yeah.
And then I follow up with more stern words. Mm-hmm. It's hard enough trying to find sponsors as it is. And then
I thought it was brave of you to use the term hard enough. And it was brave of me to sit back and not join in.
And say nothing. Then I said we could do a censored version, and then I give him some options, either silhouetted or covered, etc., and put this one on Patreon. Mm-hmm. James responds with good humor, because I didn't know how this is going to go. Who here studied marketing at TAFE? Only me. And I offer an olive branch. I say, don't get me wrong, it's a masterpiece. And then in brackets, especially the piece. But we want a big-time sponsor, and giant cocks might be off-putting. I said to him, you can even bring back the censored artist character you busted out for the Happy Fisherman. Foz writes back, I'll do a more shady version, but you stifle me. You clip my wings. And then I say, I'm the machine you need to rage against. So he sends in a second version where he's shaded the penis a bit. I never thought I'd ever write this sentence, Will. But I wrote, I think 10% darker on the tip and we're good. Foz sends in a third version with a very dark tip. How's this? Great, thanks. And I said, now it just looks like some weird animal from the Never-Ending Story, which I think is a good place to leave it. But I don't like censoring Foz. I don't like being that guy. But we need to make this work for everyone, right?
Yes.
Does that count as a cancelling? I didn't cancel him. I cancelled a bit of artwork.
I mean, you didn't cancel him. The artwork is just turned down a little and still available behind a paywall. It's like, you know, it's kind of, it's the peep show version of Patreon that we have put in basically.
God.
Right?
That's the idea, Will, not a calendar.
Yes.
We do the Tofop Patreon peep show once a month. You want some smart section. We'll give it to you.
Yes. So there's always a censored version that goes up.
Yes.
But on Patreon, we release another version of the art where there's just like explicit genitals.
And then sometimes we can catfish. Yeah. So it's like you may think that the censored version, it's like, you know, me on my knees and you standing with your head leaning back, but there's something obscuring the frame. And then it's like, oh, if you want to do it. But then you see I'm just tying your shoelace or something like that. So every now and then we kind of catfish people.
I love it. I love it. This is the perfect model for our Patreon. Is that it's like
we get into pornography.
Well, it's like an OnlyFans. It's a cartoon OnlyFans, basically.
Fucking hell. It's such a good idea. A cartoon OnlyFans. But does that mean we can... Oh, no, hang on. We've got to talk to Foz. We can't have this on it. Well, because I was thinking maybe we can take requests. Like people on OnlyFans can ask for like foot pics and stuff like that. But we can't farm out Foz's services like that. It's his services to farm out. But I like the idea of the censored, uncensored artwork. Maybe.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying we actually do it on OnlyFans, but I am saying that like
we put Foz on OnlyFans as well. I think that's pretty good. Draw, you sexy hairy man. That's it. Yeah, get that HB2 pen out. It's a HB2. I don't know, like 2B. C.
No, I mean more like maybe at some stage Foz could take requests of like what two characters from like, you know, Tofop history would you like to see hook up? Like what riff characters would you like? And then he can start like doing some to order, you know, commissions.
To see the full video, join our Patreon.
Patreon.com/Tofop.